Over the years, I got a chance to try a few active speakers. And one thing I learned with active speakers is that they defy the laws of physics. The amount of bass you can get out of them is just insane. When Klipsch reached out to me and asked me, "Hey Thomas, you want to try our active speakers, the Fives?" I was very excited. Why? Because I really like the Klipsch RP600M, and the Five uses the same tweeter. So I'm like, wow, everything they learned with the Klipsch RP600M, they're going to bring it to the Fives. They're going to include DSP, Bluetooth, optimized power amp. This is going to be a killer. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm wondering, can the Fives at $800 perform as well as the Klipsch RP600M with a decent integrated amp? So together, we'll probably run it to about 1,003. If it can, then that is going to be the best deal in town. So I was really pumped up for it. Now, when I received it, I'm like, wait a minute. The Fives is so small compared to the Klipsch RP600M. But I'm like, you know, you never know until you listen to it. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you my experience with the Fives and how it compares to Klipsch RP600M. Now, if you're wondering, Thomas, man, these speakers, are they good or not? You must be living under a rock, because there are 7,642,000 reviews online saying that these speakers are fantastic. So I'm going to spare you the pain of going through another review talking about its rich feature, talking about how it sounds. I'm just going to focus on three things. What you have to be careful of, why I like these speakers, and how it compares to the Klipsch RP600M, because that was my main question. Okay, so let's start with the negative first. There are only two things. Number one, it takes 0.01 second for it to wake up. And you're probably wondering, Thomas, what's wrong with you, man? You can't wait 0.01 seconds. You're correct that for most use, playing games, watching YouTube, it's not a problem. But if you're like me who use it to edit videos, it is a problem. The second thing is the bass. The bass is strong. As I said, it's crazy, man, what active speakers can do. If you read reviews online, I mean, people say the bass can be too much of a good thing, so placement is very critical. For me, I have a different take on it. What do you mean by bass can be too much of a good thing? In my room, this is a fully treated room with bass trap. I have speakers that have way more bass than these Klipsch in this room. And I don't have a problem with those speakers, but with this speaker, I picked up that, oh, you know what? The bass has that subwoofer type of feel to it. So in terms of being nuanced detail, I wish it was just a bit better. So this is something that you have to be aware of. Now, I can't fault it because you have to understand this is an $800 speaker. So the amount of detail you get in the bass region, I mean, is adequate for its price. It's just that as an audiophile, we tend to catch these things when we start comparing speakers. So for me, the bass is strong, correct, but it's more than just that. It's because of the fact that it has a bit of that subwoofer feel. It is not what I call audiophile level nuanced bass. So that's the second thing. All right, so let's move on to what I like about these speakers. The bass. This is a fun speaker. Now, when I say fun, I mean certain frequency, they're exaggerated. The bass is exaggerated. It's strong, it's punchy, it goes deep. The top end is lively, it's dynamic. It makes you want to dance. It's a warm sounding speaker because of the strong low end. It's colored, and I like that. You see, I said this all this time. I'm not really a fan of neutral sounding gear. I like color, I like exaggeration, and this kind of voicing is more to my taste. I know as an audiophile, we should aim for neutral sounding setup so we can reproduce what the artist originally intended. For me, man, forget that, man. If it makes you happy, that's what's important about it. And I like strong bass. That's just it's like my guilty pleasure. And also, the fact that it is not harsh, it's not bright. Usually horn speakers with the wrong pairing, wrong setup, you can run into that problem. But not these. These I thought that it was fantastic. I didn't get listening fatigue with it. Next, I love the forward presentation. One song that I use to test speaker is You Say. So in the song, there's cymbals, and I look for where they're placed and how loud they are. So the Doge 10 modified with the Silverline Sonata, I noticed, oh, it's a little bit recessed, very soft. The Fives is in my face. So this is the kind of speaker that everything catches your attention. My friends who are into neutral speaker don't like that, but me, I love that. In short, it's a fun sounding speaker, doesn't sound like a tin can, strong enough to fill up a mid-sized room. You have to be careful if you start pushing the volume though. There's a little bit of compression, so a bit of common sense is needed. Yes, you can add a subwoofer to it. It'll cut the lower frequency so it can play louder and so forth. For me, I didn't need the subwoofer. It's just fine the way it is. I don't play it loud. I had it on my desk, even though it has that strong bass, because I play at very low volume. I enjoyed it. My wife, for her, it was a little bit too much. So it is something that you should be considerate of. It can be either something that's fantastic for you or something that's a deal breaker for you. All right, so let's move on comparing to the Klipsch RP600M. Now, I'll tell you right away, the RP600M with a good integrated amp is actually better. It's cleaner, it's more refined, bass is more balanced, there's more detail in the bass region. Overall, it brings me back to, oh, I'm listening to an audiophile speaker. And the RP600M, yes, it might lose against the 5 in terms of the boom, powerful bass, but for me, as an audiophile, it is the better kind of bass. But there's a catch, of course. You have to add an integrated amp to it, and you start adding it together, you're talking about 1,300, 2,000, 4,000, 5,000. Sky's the limit. But what if I have no choice? I only got 800 bucks. I need either the Fives for 800 bucks or a Klipsch RP600M for about 600 plus an integrated amp that's about 200 bucks. So Hi-Fi Express sent me this SMSL SA300. This thing's like 140 bucks. And this is an integrated amp that has everything. Bluetooth, it's 40 watts, and USB built-in DAC. So I'm asking myself, what if I use that SMSL SA300 with the Klipsch RP600M versus the Fives? Okay, this is where you're gonna go like, I don't know which is the clear winner now, okay? Because the SA300 is actually fantastic. For 140 bucks, it's mind-blowing. It's like, how do they do it for 140 bucks, including a DAC? I'll tell you what, if you put a good external DAC to this SA300, this thing can really sing. The internal DAC is a little bit, there's a bit too much digital glare for my taste. But if you use an external DAC, whoa, quite impressive. So I plugged it into the RP600M, and this is where I get, yeah, okay, what do I do? Because the top end part, I think this is where the Fives is actually slightly ahead. But the second you put in a nice DAC with the SA300, it starts to pull ahead. But of course, it raised the price but significantly more. The bass, the Five, despite being less nuanced than the RP600M, is just more powerful, more fun, more punchy, more present. And the SA300 bass is not strong to start off with. This is 40 watt Class D. This is one of its weak point. So yes, you might get more definition in the bass, but you don't get the same kind of fun as the Fives. So it really depends what you want, because with the RP600M, you can later upgrade it. And it still sounds great with the SA300 SMSL integrated amp. All right, so let's wrap it up at this point. A question I get asked a lot is, Thomas, can you recommend me a speaker for home theater and movies? At my home, I have two systems, one dedicated for home theater, one dedicated for 2-channel listening. Because I look for different things. Home theater, I look for bass, I look for power, I want to feel the explosion. And above all, I look for clarity in the vocal. I want to hear the dialogue clearly. That's my two main criteria. 2-channel system, I look for detail, nuance, soundstage, mid-range smoothness, and so forth. You know, all the audiophile terms, right? It's two different things. So I would say if you're looking for a system, 50% movies, 50% music, the Fives for sure is something you should consider. It's only when you start going 70% music, that's where I go like, maybe the RP600M with the SMSL SA300 with an external DAC is a better solution. Granted, because you can upgrade the SMSL SA300 in the future. If you're 60% into music, I would say, make sure you listen to the Fives before buying them. Over the years, I've come across a few active speakers. And I would say there's only one active speaker that I like more than the Fives, and that's the KEF LS50W. But that's 3 times the price of this. I like the speaker because it's bloody fun, man. And I cannot just stop smiling when I listen to it. Especially a lot of boom, boom, boom bass. Bloody hell, man, this thing is amazing for that. All right, I'll see you next time.
It's not defies.